Hey YouTube, it's Marie from the Nurse Lounge, and I just wanted to come by and provide you a end of the semester wrap up. Just kind of tell you kind of how my DNP journey is going, what my grades were for my class. If you want to know what's going on in my DNP world, stay tuned. All right, so we're gonna jump right in. I don't have any notes or anything like that. I just want to come on here and just kind of say I'm relieved that the semester is finally over. I am done with semester 5. I start semester 6 of 8. At the end of May, after Memorial Day, I'll start my clinicals. But anyway, this is not what this is about. Today, we're going to talk about my end of semester wrap up. So I just finished taking, in case you didn't know, my sticky notes off of it. Health policy, essentials of health policy and law. And then this is all one class. It's 2 books, health economics and policy. So these are the 2 books I had for one class. And I just want to tell you what the class was really about. And then after that, then I will kind of go show you my grades. I also want to talk to you about the IRB process and anybody who's going through that, what that is like. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're going to go with this. So let's start with the IRB. Let's start with that because that's the part that concerned me the most. So with the IRB process, it is a process for sure. It's something that I would honestly have to say probably had me in some tears a lot during this semester. It's nothing that's easy about the IRB process. In case you all didn't know, IRB process is for basically using human subjects in terms of your research. And so basically there's a form that has to be filled out, and it has to be filled out pretty detailed to basically determine, when it goes before the board, to determine whether you are doing something that is ethical in practice or not to people, if you're going to have people in your research. And so it basically kind of, scrutinizes and look at every aspect of what your project's going to be, so that they will know if you're going to harm anyone with intent, or is it going to be something that's malicious, or, things like that. The IRB process actually came about because of the Tuskegee syphilis incident way back in the day. I'm not good with history, but I do know this story. So if you're familiar with the Tuskegee syphilis incident, where African-American men were basically exposed to syphilis, and that is, but they were told, I won't say were they exposed to syphilis, or did they already have syphilis? I don't remember. I need to go back and research that. But anyway, that's what it's about. And basically, I think they were told that they were going to cure them. You know what? Let me stop lying. I don't know the whole story I do know what it's about, the gist of what it's about. But that's where this IRB process came from, because these men were being subjected to things that they shouldn't have been subjected to, and being tested as if they were like lab rats, kind of how we do lab rats today. But there were people being treated this way. So that's where this comes from. That's the reason why that's one of the stories is why this comes from, because we want to make sure that we're actually doing the right thing towards people, and making sure that we're not causing them any undue harm or stress or anything like that. That's not necessary. That won't come out for the good. So if you know about maleficence and non-maleficence and beneficence, you know about those, then you'll know what I'm talking about when it comes to do no harm and, do good to people, and to make sure that sometimes we do have to impose harm on people, but it's for their good. So like when you give a child a shot, it does cause harm because it does hurt, but at the end it causes good. So that's kind of what we're looking into here. And so, not to get into major details about my project itself, but basically what my project is basically wanting to see if bad childhood experiences kind of lends itself to poor academic standards when it comes to graduating from college, nursing school, basically. And so, and it's more detailed than that, but just for the sake of time, that's the gist of what it is. If you had bad childhood experiences, does that impact And research says it does, but we want to actually do a actual study to see, based on a certain demographic of people, does it really truly impact? Are some people just, more circumstantial, or is it, you are the exception to the rule where yes, you had all those things happen, but you also are, stellar, a scholar, and things like that. So basically that's what a project is about. I'll tell you more once I get the IRB approval, but it's just that. So this whole semester has been just basically the DM project development. So basically where I have got my topic got approved. Now I have to provide research and do a literature review as to why this is an important topic. Why do we want to do something about it? How will it impact nursing? How will it improve nursing care in the long run? So I had to go through that process, and that process is very step by step by step. So you're doing your background, your methodology. How are you going to do it? How are you going to make sure that the data is secure? How are you going to make sure that there's no identifying factors in terms of knowing people's names and be able to, if the data were to get out, how do you prevent that? It is tedious. It is a lot of back and forth in terms of me submitting this stuff and it be wrong, and then they submit it back to you, say fix this, fix this, fix this. And so I spent the entire semester doing that. We actually started this part of the class January 2nd, and we're just ending it this week. So this has really been like a 5-month process just in the IRB process. And to this day, today, I still do not know if my project, if my IRB form is actually approved or not. I don't know when we'll find that out. So that part won't be an update until maybe this summer sometime. That class is a pass-fail type of thing. I'm hoping that if you filled the form out and you filled it out to the best of your ability, meeting some type of standard, that it is a pass for me. I do feel like too that if I was in jeopardy of failing that aspect of the class, they would have told me by now. So that part I'm unsure about, and I really don't like not knowing one way or the other. I don't want to assume anything. But when I tell you that process was a bit much, and when I first submitted my application, they said, "Oh, it looks great." Then they sent it to the second reviewer. Yeah, the second reviewer. And with the second reviewer, she came back with 21 revisions. So when you have been working on something for 4 months, 4.5 months, and everybody's saying, "Oh, looks great, looks great, looks great," and then they come back with 21 revisions 2 weeks before the semester ends, your world kind of comes crashing down on you. I'm kind of like, "Oh my gosh, how am I going to get this stuff done?" In a timely manner. I had to go back and do another literature review. She didn't like certain aspects of it. She said, "Take this out. This shouldn't be here. It shouldn't be there. You shouldn't speaking in first person. It's supposed to be in third person," and things that I never knew, because mind you, I have never filled out an IRB form before, ever. So for our group, this was a first for all of us. And even though it's a first for all of us, we don't know how to do it. So if you don't know how to do something, then you're bound to have a lot of mistakes. So that's kind of where I was with that. Again, I'm at a point right now where I've submitted it I want to say not this past Saturday, but the previous Saturday. And I haven't heard back from them. I don't know if it means it's a yay or a nay or what, but I had a classmate who, because she hadn't heard back anything from hers as well. So she emailed the instructor and she said, "Well, we've already submitted to the board. So, I guess that applies to everybody. We don't know what's going on in that class. Just know the semester is already over. Actually, it'll be officially over on the 16th of this month, I want to say. We've already did evaluations for that class, so I guess it is a done deal. I'll be hopefully advancing to the next leg in this. Now let's talk about my health policy class. So in health policy class, it was a different kind of class. I'm not really per se interested in health policy and economics, but I always try to keep an open mind because I'm spending $3,000 per class. So I just definitely need to make sure I'll come out learning something. And I will definitely say that I did learn something from this class. It was very informative. Health policy is something that I don't see myself getting into, but it was one of those things that was really good to know. We had several assignments we had to do. We had to do discussion forums and, reply to different things. We had to do health policy critiques. We had to write a senator. We had to follow a bill to see if it came into law or did it die. Whatever the words for it is, we had to kind of follow that process through. And I would say that I wouldn't say I enjoyed the process, but I did learn a lot from the process. I learned how health policy works, how medicine works with it's the stuff that we don't know what's going on when we're sitting in the hospital, if that makes sense. So while I'm taking care of my patient in the hospital, there's people, thousands of people around trying to put policies into place that either benefit them, or benefit the patient, or the nurse, or whoever happens to be. And 9 times out of 10, it benefits the politician before it benefits the actual patient. And that's one thing that I learned about this whole situation, that there's a lot of things in health policy and economics that it does not benefit you and I. It does not benefit the patients we're caring for. It benefits the politicians who happen to be, some of them happen to be in healthcare themselves. They're physicians a lot of the time. So be mindful. You have physicians that are in healthcare who are making decisions for you and I as providers, and for our patients that we care for, but it impacts their bottom line, not ours or not our patients. It does not improve health outcomes per se, but they will tell them that it improves health outcomes. So that's something that I really took away from this class, that, I learned a lot, that we really need to be mindful about being advocates for our patients, because if we're not their advocate like we're supposed to be, then who really is? It's not always your politicians. You take things to the politicians and say, hey, can you advocate for nurses to have better staffing ratios? Can you advocate for us to have, be unionized, or whatever happens to be? And if it doesn't fit within their agenda, if it doesn't fit, if you're not giving them any money, yes, you're not giving them any money, then it's not going to reach the ballot to be even voted on. They're not even going to, put it on make a bill for it. So I learned so much about that aspect. I guess the negative aspect. Also learned when it comes to economics that they're trying to reform Medicare. And Medicare, as you know, is what people get when you need health care, but you are in a certain level of income, lower SES, or Medicaid, that you get when you are, is it elderly who gets the Medicaid or Medicare? I get those two mixed up, but basically just know that both of those are for people who are either elderly, disabled, or children, or people who definitely don't have the money for traditional healthcare means. So when it comes to things like that, you have to be mindful that they've been trying to reform health or Medicare for decades at this point, and they can't come to a consensus about how we're going to go about doing that. And economics is not really about coming with a solution. It's the strategies to the solution that we don't ever come up with is the issue. And so I found that to be very informative, because I was like, okay, well, wow. So we've been talking about Medicare reform since I've been a nurse. Again, almost 15 years. And here we are 15 years later, or I don't actually know when they started to talk about reform, but I know since I've been a nurse, we've been talking about reform. And here we are, don't have a solution for it. Because the Democrats are saying this, the Republicans are saying this, the House is saying this, the Senate is saying this, and no one can come together. The nurses are saying this, and the doctors are saying this. The patients, the constituents, us, we're the constituents. We're saying this, but nobody's listening. Because remember, us nurses are playing cards at work. So that's what health policy and economics is really about. And when I learned a lot from the class. Not that I want to go be a politician, not that I want to get into healthcare and economics. I kind of like where I am in academia at the moment. But I really took away a lot from that class. Now I want to show you my grades. So a doctoral program is very difficult for various reasons. For one, it's a graduate program, and you're getting a terminal degree in nursing in this situation. And there's no such thing as a C in graduate school. In any graduate school, you can't get a C. So it's A, B, or withdrawal from the class or the program or whatever you're doing. And so that puts an extra buffer as to why you have to do so well while you're in schools, because you don't have any other options, because there's nothing else below a 85. For us, it's the lowest grade you can get. So I can get an 85 on an assignment, or I can get an 85. If I get a C, like an 80, it has to be like on an assignment, because you get an 80 in the class, you have failed the class. So here we are. I'm going to go show you now my grades on the computer, so you can see kind of how I've been doing in this class. I did pass the class with an A, but I want to kind of show you step by step about what that looks like in terms of what the grades look like on my Gradebook. And then I want to tell you what's up next for the summer, and then after that I'm pretty much done. Before we go out there though, I want to warn you, my kids are here. They're playing video games, so you'll hear games and stuff like that in the background. But outside of that, you know, I've told them to try to keep it quiet so that I could get through this video. And so hopefully they will oblige and do as they've been instructed. But you know, if I have to put on that mom face for a minute, you'll know why. So let's go ahead and check out my grades. All right, so here we are at my, what we call our Moodle room or Blackboard. And this is where I basically go to for my classes. I've showed you this before. You see my classes down here at the bottom where it says DNP Project Development and Healthcare Policy and Economics. So I'm gonna go to the Healthcare Policy and Economics. The class we were just talking about where my IRB form was the DNP Project Development class. And so we're gonna go down here to the Health Policy class. And my session is logged out, so let me log back in. All right, so now I'm going to go up here to the top where it says My Courses, and I'm just going to go straight to the Gradebook. I do want to tell you about this quality improvement project that we had to do. And it was due May 3rd. I've already done it and submitted it. And of course I got my feedback. Hold on, let me see if I can get my mouse to work right. Feedback back. And so this is my rubric right here. So I'm kind of showing you my rubric. Where the highlighted green is actually what, you know, what your grade, the points that you received for that. So I'm scrolling down right here and you can see the grades for this rubric. And so, basically, you see at the bottom, the score was 100 out of 100. So I got 100 on that. This was worth 10% of our grade. And I was really concerned about this, to be honest with you, because in this particular one, they did not provide us not with a template, not with an idea, not with a reputable website or anything to actually know where, how to go about making a quality improvement initiative. So many of us who've never did QI before, if you happen to work in clinical and you in a clinical area or you're in management or administration where you do have done a QI initiative at your job, then you know exactly what this is talking about with the SWOT analysis and things like that. But for us, if we don't know anything about, or me, I don't know anything about it. I've learned a lot through the process, but I got 100 on it, which is great. So now I want to go to my grades over here for this class. Or actually it takes you to both classes. And so I'm going to go to the healthcare policy class. And so basically these are my grades, okay? So this is the grade book. So I'm just kind of scrolling through and showing you the grade book right here. We had an on-campus reflection. It's 100 out of 100. My discussion for week 2 is 100 on 100 out of 100. You see where here I didn't do something I was supposed to do, but she did not take points off, which I'm glad about. More discussions, topic of the weeks, which we're doing now. The only topic of the week I still have out is the one for week 15, which is the one I just submitted yesterday. So being that I felt the same format that I've been doing for the whole semester regarding topic of the week, I feel like I will still get 100 on this one. So I don't have a final grade just yet, but this is the only grade that is missing at the moment. So I feel like I will probably get 100 on that one as well, because again, I followed the same format. As you see here, I have critiques. We had to do a health policy resource critique. On the first one, I did great. The second one, I did good overall, but I could have, I guess, something I did not do, she wasn't happy about, so I got a 90 on the second one. And a 90, just so you know, is a B in our program. And so they averaged those two together, the 90 and the 100, and they gave me a 95 for that part of the grade. Then we had to do a health policy analysis, and I got 100 on that. And we did our poster presentation. So if you remember that I took you all to campus with me and I showed you the symposium, the poster that we did, we got 100 on that, on our poster. And then we had to do that QI I just showed you, which was 100. I showed you that already. And then we had to present on campus, I mean, our topic, and we got 100 on that. And then for right now, as you can see, my grade is a 99.17. So, you know, I'm not perfect, but that's great for me. So that's an A. 93 to 100 is an A. So I'm pretty sure, since I have a 99.17 right now, that I will probably have 100 on the other one, and it will just, you know, still gonna be an A regardless. So that's the grade that I got on that. All right, so we're back. So as you see, I got a 99 in that class, so basically an A. I'm pretty excited about that because my GPA is not that bad. I have 1B in my whole program. And I talked to you about that on the when I was on campus. I thought I got to be in a class because of a group project, but you know, I'm not going to dwell on that. What's in the future for me? So I'm done with this semester, at least I hope. Starting the end of this month, I start clinical. So this is my first clinical of my program. And I will be taking you along with me for clinicals from time to time, depending on what I'm doing that day. I definitely will have some pictures posted on IG for my in my white coat. So excited about my white coat. So anyway, I'll have some pictures for that. But basically what is going to happen this semester, I have one more core class left, and that is in leadership and something about teaching and something. One more core class left, and then I will be doing my clinical as well. I have to do 180 hours this summer. So I have, I think, 12 weeks to get 180 hours in. So I'm going to have to kind of figure out how I'm going to get those hours in to do clinical. And then after that, in the fall, implement my project. So anyway, that's basically a summary of what has happened. This is my end of semester wrap up. It's been an informative semester. I've learned a lot. I will say the stress level is beginning to come down from what it was last semester when I took epidemiology and research, I think it was called. Those two classes, I think, were the peak of the program for us, and it was very, very difficult. So we're kind of coming back down from that climax of just being high stressed, and we're coming back down at this point. And I'm kind of like, if you think about like a roller coaster, like the top of the roller coaster was like last semester. Now we're like right here coming down the side. And I begin to feel like we're coming back down the side of down like a roller coaster where you're coming back down again. I just feel like my stress level has definitely come down from last semester to now. And now we're going into clinical where it's just basically do your hours, submit your hours, reflect on your hours, and do this one last class, and we'll be done. And I go back to campus again July 29th and 30th, I think. And so I will take you with me to campus so you can see, you know, how that wraps up and for the summer. And then I'll start my fall semester. So anyway, I hope this has been informative to you. If people want to know more about the DNP program, the Doctor of Nursing Practice program that I am in, it is a journey. It's very difficult. There are some tears from time to time. I will not lie to you. I will say it's one of the most challenging but yet rewarding things that I've endured besides having children. It's very difficult, and I think by design it should be difficult, because if it wasn't, then everybody would have a doctoral degree, and everybody does not. So in case you did know, statistically, according to the Census Bureau, in 2018, as of 2018, only 2.66% of the United States has a doctoral degree. I'm not talking about in nursing, I'm talking about overall. So when you only see that less than 3% of the U.S. population has a doctoral degree, you are part of the elite that when you get one, that you'll have that same degree. And so therefore there should be some sacrifices made and some suffering, and I wouldn't say suffering, but you know, some tears, and it's going to be a great process when I finish. May 16, 2020 is graduation, 2 p.m. It's funny that I already know that. So we're almost approaching 365 days and counting, plus and counting. I'm looking forward to this process. I'm looking forward to taking you along with me on the journey so that you can see that, yes, you too can get a doctoral degree. Yes, you can come from being single parent, not married, babies out of wedlock, living in roach-infested apartments, living, you know, on welfare, the whole nine, to living your dreams. And if you want to become a doctor, whether it be a medical doctor or any other kind of doctor, terminal degree doctor, that you can do it if you set your mind to it. So anyway, thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, you want to know more about the DNP process, leave those comments below. Feel free to email me at marita@themelaninrn.com. That is my email. I will have that down in the description box. Until the next time, you all take care. Bye-bye.